make more sense, hopefully.
Yeah. Well,
but
if you don't like it, listen to a different podcast.
Yeah, there are other ones.
But we would love if we hope you like it.
Yeah, I hope you like our 85% accuracy.
I mean,
that's pretty good.
Right.
You could win like silver.
Yeah, we don't need gold medals.
Yeah, we'd really like the diamond, but
we're pretty into good enough.
That's true. Yeah, it's good enough. We're still talking about it. Also, any current events I'm not going to know anything about.
Right. We don't want to get into anything that could put us in actual danger. So I'm not about to say anything I haven't heard somewhere else.
Yeah. I would like to stay alive.
Yeah.
And unless a train derails at my house and then
well then
just over, but
then yeah,
I don't know, it's just sad.
Have this dog that I feel like they've had it for like a month, but they keep putting him out on their balcony and he's like whining and I just feel bad. And they did it one night, literally all night, and I was like, granted it's San Antonio, it's not cold, but poor puppy.
All night? Yeah.
Yes, and also it whined all night and I could hear it. But
also
more so
a new dog too.
Yeah, they haven't had it that long, and like part of me wants to report them to our landlords because I feel like they're not even supposed to have the dog. Like, it would not surprise me if it was an illegal pet anyway, because these people, I feel like they've had the cops called on them a couple times. But I don't know. I know my landlord they hate me, so I can't exactly. I don't think they'll take the complaint very seriously, except for the fact that they aren't getting their pet rent or whatever. I just like don't think they should be leaving their dog out there all day. He just got put out, but it makes me sad for him. Like, maybe take him for a walk. I don't know.
Dude, people abuse their dogs all the time. I was driving home and there was a guy walking his dog down the sidewalk like at 6 p.m. or whatever, and I was like, oh, that's nice. And then he was like at the stop sign or the stop light waiting to cross like by the school, and I was sitting there too at the light, and I saw like the dog started like moving or whatever, and he like yanked him to make him sit down, and I was like, yeah, I felt so bad.
I think
and it was clearly a puppy too.
You shouldn't have a pet if you don't have the patience to deal with a pet.
Yeah, because it's clearly a young dog. It's not going to know to heel or whatever, because you're not teaching it that.
Yeah, you have to train a dog to do that.
Yeah. And he just like started yanking. Oh, and he like started beating him. Like, not beating him, but like slapping his side a little bit. Not like hard, but like obviously as like a punishment. Like, this was an older guy, so it's like obviously if he had kids he probably spanked him, and he thinks he can do that with his dog too. Like,
spanked his dog.
Mean. Sad. All right, well, I don't know if that should be in the episode.
I think it's fine.
Okay, so let's get into the case now. What do you know about this? Do you know anything about this case?
I mean, I've heard of it before, but I think I feel like all I remember is like it's not solved. And in my mind, I attach it with the like Tylenol.
Oh yeah,
case that happened here. I don't know if they're similar at all, but that's about all I know.
I would say very loosely similar in that someone poisoned a product meant for people to ingest.
Okay, yeah, that's about as close as you can get.
Yeah, but like the Tylenol thing, there's so much. We should probably talk about that too later. But like there was so many packaging things that changed for it.
I know,
and
that's one of my favorites, probably because of that.
I know, yeah. Also, I don't know if you're looking at the document, but the first page is just a map in case you didn't know where some places were.
Okay.
It doesn't have everything on it that I'm going to talk about, but just the general area. because people aren't really familiar. I mean, not that we're going to show anyone else this, but
Right.
I assumed you weren't very familiar with Japan.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
But yeah, for this episode, I really just wanted to go over like general like Japanese culture and language and a little bit of history, because I do feel like it'd be helpful to keep in mind, because Japan's so different from the US, and most of our listeners obviously are going to be US.
Right.
Or probably. But yeah, I have a disclaimer. So I've been studying Japanese since 2009, so for like 13 years. And in college, it was one of my majors, Japanese culture and language. And I did go there for a high school trip, and 9 months I studied abroad there in college, but I definitely don't know everything about the culture there is to know. I did not grow up there. So like what I'm going to say about the culture and language is like what I understand. But if I don't say something, then someone could correct me if they are Japanese and happen to be listening. Then let me know, and I can correct it later. But I just wanted to say that.
And I will continue to act like you know everything.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, and also, like, I'm sure we'll be comparing a lot to the US, because that's where we are. So, first, in regards to culture, Japan is a collectivist society, which is pretty much the opposite of the US. We're individualistic.
So, like, they're like a hive mind.
Yeah, like, they keep others' needs in mind. They might, like, take care of others above themselves. During disasters, like, all the disasters, there's never any looting. They all, like, line up, organized to get their supplies or whatever they need. Like, can you imagine that here? That would never happen here.
No, we're like the opposite.
Right, yeah. So I just wanted to say that as a general, they help each other out. And then there were some cultural concepts that I feel like would be helpful. So first there's uchi versus sota, which is inside versus outside. So this is like the idea that you have an inner circle of people that not necessarily your family. And like people can't breach that inner circle. And like you're gonna be loyal to that inner circle, like above people that are outside of the circle. And there's probably like layers of circles. But just if you're not perceived as part of a group, like the group that you feel identified with, then you're going to treat them as an outsider. Oh, that's a general concept.
Okay.
That's kind of like they're so nice to foreigners, but like you cannot be a Japanese. Like you're not going to be
or like
the same.
They'll be like polite, but they're not.
Right.
Like they're not going to die for you.
Right. And they're not going to tell you what they actually think about things.
Oh.
Okay, that's the next one. So, like hone versus tatamai, which is private versus public. So like that's the idea of like they don't directly express feelings and intentions, like especially if you're not part of that inner circle. Like they have a very indirect way of speaking.
Okay. Like image. I'm picturing like they're very protective of their image. Like they don't want people to think that anything is wrong ever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, kind of how that goes with the collectivist.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then there's like gambari, or like gambate, as a lot of people say, is like do your best, or like a can-do attitude kind of. So they're like very hardworking and like just get it done and do what you need to do kind of thing.
Okay.
And then there's the senpai-kohai relationship. So that's like upper and lower.
I know that word.
Oh, you do know it?
Just senpai.
Oh, okay, yeah. Right, yeah. I feel like if you know anything about anime, I mean, you don't watch anime, but... but that people are familiar with that. Like, if you're younger, you have to defer to the older person. And it doesn't necessarily have to be age-related, like your rank in an organization, too.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you're a higher rank, even if you're younger than me, I still have to defer to you.
Kind of like military, like...
Yeah.
Where they have their order of rank.
Right. Yeah, and you have to also use different language when you're talking to a senpai.
Oh,
Like they have a whole different language.
it's a lot of
Like,
rules. They're very formal.
business. Yeah, it is very formal. Okay, so in regard to language, Japanese is written often without a subject in the sentence. Like it's just implied, but they won't include a subject. So like when we start talking about the letters that this group sent, like the letters overall that I was able to find in Japanese, they don't really state like if it's one person or multiple people.
Oh.
So like a lot of the English translations will say like we want this or I want this or whatever, but that's just because English has to have a subject.
Oh, and theirs is just like want this.
Yeah.
This is wanted.
Right. Like the monster with 21 faces wants it, basically. Because the
Okay.
letter's from them. So like that's the subject the whole time. Like it just won't say that.
Okay.
So yeah, like a lot of the letters, like I'll probably say we and us a lot because I do think it was a group of people, which we will get into. But like the actual letter doesn't say we or us.
Okay.
So you don't really know.
Right. I mean, that adds to the mystery because it could just be one person.
Right. Yeah, it could be literally anyone or any amount of people.
And like when things are written down now involving in like a crime, like they put so much into how things are worded. Like when they're like analyzing it, so to take out that, I feel like that makes it a lot more complicated.
Right. Because it's just literally so anonymous.
Right.
Yeah. On page 3, if you want to look at it, I put an example of the letter. I know you can't read Japanese, but just to note, like the language or the lettering used, I guess, was almost exclusively hiragana, which is very strange. That's not the part I want you to look at, I guess, not yet. I know you don't know. But, like, Japanese have 3 different writing systems, and, like, the more complicated one is kanji, and most adults will write with kanji because it's easier to then make sure, like, which word's what.
Oh, like it's more specific?
Yeah, because when it's hiragana, like, okay, in the letter that's there, like, you can see spaces, right, between, like, certain words or whatever, like... But then the one below it is like how Japanese is typically written. Like literally no spaces at all.
Right. Just blocks.
Yeah. So like the fact that they wrote it because like the reason it has no spaces then using kanji is easier to tell what's words. But when it's hiragana then it can blend together. So then you have to add spaces for the hiragana. But just this style of writing that they sent the letters in is like more for middle school students.
Oh.
Like adults would use kanji. So it's a little strange that they don't really, like they're mostly hiragana. And like they use kanji for like major cities or like things that would be normally understood for like middle schoolers. Right. So it's just weird that they do that and like they don't really know why. They think maybe it was making fun of the people reading it, saying like, oh, you're so dumb you can't read, so I'm gonna make it simple for you. But also like it could be, as we get into it, like some of the people that are in like Yakuza and stuff like don't finish school. Right. So they could just be like they don't know how to write like at a higher level. So yeah, just something to keep in mind for that. And also it's written in an Osaka dialect, which it is written, so you could fake that, but they think whoever wrote these at least was from Osaka area.
Okay. I will refer to the map. Okay. I don't know if I've ever looked at a map of Japan with cities.
Really?
Like, I could not have told you where a single thing was.
Tokyo?
Not even.
Oh. Hiroshima?
No.
Okay. All right, well, now you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure this is not, like, a common thing. Yeah, a fun fact. I'm going to have a lot of fun facts. This is not in my notes, but fun fact, Japan is about the size of the West Coast.
Okay.
Like Upper Washington down all the way to the bottom of California.
So it's not that small. In my mind, it's small. Like that. I know that's.
Oh yeah,
Like, the US is a huge country.
Right. The main, like, part where Tokyo is, people say is, like, the same as California.